Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another edition, I suppose, of the SevereMMA podcast, or here on SevereMMA YouTube. Anyway, and joined today by the toughest man in Wales, Oban Elliott, before his fight this weekend at Cage Warriors 145 over in London. I have to ask about the fit, first of all. Look at that. It's getting cold here in this part of the world. I know the price of coal and the price of electricity and all is awful.
Yeah.
Better off wear something like that.
Yeah, mate, it's too cold to put the heating on in here. Yeah, on Cage Warriors money, I'm not putting the heating on for no one. So
that's the job.
I'll just wear my little house coat, as you boys might call it. But yeah,
Beautiful.
What's happening, brother? You all right?
I'm not too bad. Where'd you get that coat now? Did you rob it out of a nice hotel somewhere? Or
No. My nan got it me for Christmas one year, and I dug it out. I think in the summer, my girlfriend dug it out, and yeah, I'm always in it now. I fucking live in it.
That's the job. I was talking to someone the other day about Christmas presents, and when you were young, we were like, "Oh, I got socks for Christmas." Now I'm like, "Yeah, get me socks."
Literally, I go in like Sports Direct buying the fucking like packs of 12. I get 20 socks for £6. I'm like, oh, fucking right, get in there. My missus are like, "What are you wearing then?" Donny socks. I'm like, 20 socks for £10. I'm not getting the Nikes or the Pumas for that. Fuck that.
Donny was always a great brand. Donny used to do shoes as well back in the day. Went to sports. What was it called? Shoes. I don't know what to do. Like 18 quid for a pair of shoes. Absolutely ideal.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah. You know, it's got to be done sometimes. Yeah.
It does indeed. Come here to me. Let's talk a little bit about MMA, I suppose. I'll do it, John. We could get away with talking about it.
Socks, yeah.
I've started calling you like it's just one of these guys, talking about you as one of these guys who no longer gives a shit, who like will fight anyone, any place, any weight, any time. Like all you have to do is look at your last few fights. You know, going up in weight to fight George McManus, who's massive at welterweight. Didn't fight Matters Flaminas, who the prospect killer who's beaten every fucking prospect on the planet, fighting Matthew Bonner. Didn't take in the Skabinski fight as well. Has that always been your attitude, or did you just get the opportunity like 4 fights into your career to start fighting like that?
It's always been the attitude, and I'll date it back, right? I'll just make sure you turned up, yeah. I'll date it back to my amateur career, right? My second unified amateur fight, it was on Cage Warriors, I think 87 in Newport. And I was on the amateur card, obviously, and I thought I was booked to fight this guy, and then 2 weeks before, the guy pulled out, and I was like, fuck, I need to get a fight. And I actually took a fight against like the number 9th ranked welterweight at the time, Craig Rawlins, on like 2 weeks. I was 19. He's like in his mid-20s. He was like 7-2, I think, or 8-2. And I was 1-0. And I remember the noise was like, oh, fair play, took this fight. And that's like I've always been like this. That's what I'm trying to say. And like, from like my lightweight days, I was hard to match, getting fights, boys pulling out. I took the James Liddy fight, not to blow smoke up my own ass, but not to read my resume, but I took the James Liddy fight on 5 days' notice in the weight class above. And look, the proof is in the pudding. Everyone talks about going about this game like this, and it just so happens like I'm one of the only ones consistently who's there and doing it no matter what. You know, and as you said about like that George McManus fight, I took a year off after all the issues I had before that fight. I took a year in between. My first fight at 170, like proper fight at 170, was against one of the biggest guys. And then I'm fighting, and I had like 0 cage time in that fight because I finished him so quick. And then I'm fighting Flaminas, you know, straight in, back to back, within 8 weeks of each other. And I feel like I'm just it's not like a fucking recent thing. It's just what I've always done. I don't really understand why other people aren't like this. Why is it so surprising that I'm the only one like this, you know, or one of very few?
Isn't it funny though that it stands out? You know, and I've actually, I'm not critical of the other lads, to be honest, because I've always said you're probably better off taking it slower at the start of your career.
Yeah.
But like, there's lots of lads say over here in Ireland, like Peter Queally has done that, taking really tough fights, and look, gotten to headline cards in Bellator in different places. So you do this, right, and no one could argue with the fact that you do it, because it's you've taken these fights and all this. Is it something you think about, or is it something like, right, I'm offered a name, I'm just taking? And it's funny, like Ian Dean is the sort of fella who maybe wouldn't always give the tough names so quickly. But
yeah,
are you looking for those names? Are you trying to fight the toughest guys? Are you just like, right, whoever's next, I'll fight that guy?
Yeah, I'm not trying to do anything. Do you know after especially when I lost to Flaminas, right? I said, fuck this. I was like, I've got the skills to go all the way in this sport, right? But my composure on the night really, really shone through, and that I needed a bit more cage time against Flaminas. And I'm looking around with all the other boys with the same amount of fights as me, boys my age or even older. And I'm like, where the fuck are these scrubs? Where are the scrubs that these boys are getting? Why can't I get these scrubs? That's what I was kind of thinking. And I was like, I'm going to take that route, because it's almost like a guaranteed route. And then they give me some undefeated boy that they just signed. And I'm thinking, right, are they trying to fucking, are they trying to wash me out here? What are they doing? And then I was thinking after that fight, I thought, okay, we'll just keep building, whatever. I wasn't saying no to anyone, but that's the direction that I just knew that I need, it was kind of gonna kind of go in. And then the boy I had like 6 pullouts for that August fight. And then obviously Matt Bonner came in, the phone rings, I think, mate, I'm either going to seize the moment or I'm going to bottle this, and it's time to deliver. It's time to fucking show everyone who I am and what I'm made of with that fight. And I remember when I got the call, I was like proper fired up, and I thought, there's no way I'm fucking this up. There's no way I'm letting this man beat me. There's no way. And then when they come back with Skabinski, I was like, fucking right. Yeah, he's kind of the gateway to the title shot. Let's send him in. And then if I'm gonna go through fucking Skabinski, and then I don't want a title fight after that. I don't care. I'll have the next guy. And I'm not looking for the tough fights, because what the fuck does that mean? The boy I'm fighting, Sean McCormack, on Friday is the toughest fight I could get at this present moment, because he's the only guy tough enough to step up. He's the toughest guy. He's 10 times tougher than Skabinski is. He's 10 times tougher than that whole fucking welterweight roster that they went through. And I had a no after no after no after no after no. He's 10 times tougher than all them. I'm fighting the toughest guy that they can get their hands on Friday, bar none. So if they, whether this is just how it is. This is just how it is. And I take every man as seriously as the next, especially the ones who step up, like this guy.
What do you think the reason is, like, why lads aren't taking fights? Because we know what Cage Warriors is. It's a gateway to get to the UFC. If you're good enough and you can prove it, you'll get there. And if you're not, you won't, because Ian Dean is there and he's going to make you take a tough fight to get to a title fight where you're going to have another tough fight and get there. So what's the point of avoiding it? What do you think on that?
They want a fucking nice, squeaky clean. They might not have the full belief in their skills. I've always believed in my skills. I think I can only speak for me. I've always believed in my skills. And where it's gone wrong for me on the night, I've been able to clearly assess and grow from it, as you can see. I spoke to you like a year ago, didn't I, Sean? Like, I'm a completely different man again. I've matured, like I've matured no end in that year. And that is through the setbacks I've gone through. So I think some people are trying to avoid slipping up, or perhaps they just want to fucking, I don't know, maybe they're not fit all the time, maybe they're not in the gym all the time. I'd never assume that another man is scared of another man, and that's just nonsense. But I guess the people who really want to get somewhere in this game kind of stick their heads up out of what's the phrase?
Above
they kinda,
the parapet, is that it? Something like that?
They what? Sorry?
They stick their head above the parapet, is that it? Something like that?
Yeah. You can see the, and it's always, I've always been here. I'm not trying to, I want this. I fucking want this. I live for this. So
I remember
welcome any challenge.
the last time we spoke as well. I know you were working. Were you working in a school, weren't you? Are you
Yeah.
are you still doing that? Like, because a lot of people on the way up, obviously, you know, there isn't massive money in cage warriors, and you have to do something to get money to be able to train to go full time.
Yeah.
Some people say, right, screw that, I'm just going to go full time. What way are you
Yeah.
kind of doing it now in life in general to get there?
I quit that job. I'd already handed my notice in before the Flaminas fight, so I quit that job because that was just like eating up my whole week. I couldn't just come. I didn't feel like a professional fighter. And I really wanted to go after it. And I just started working part time at Nando's, so now I just keep that up to make sure I pay my bills. So basically, I'm giving up like all my weekends to work, and then I'm training all week, and then I'm working all weekend to just make sure my bills are nice. You know, I'm not struggling for money, and then and so on. Yeah, they're supportive with that. So that's what I'm doing for now. But I'm just living like a professional athlete, and I'm really dedicating my life to this.
Did you get any free chicken at Nando's? Is that
All the time? Hey,
yeah.
why do you think I'm fighting at 185, brother? Look at this.
You'll have to get the Nando's sponsorship for this.
Yeah, well, we've tried with Nando's, but I don't know. One of the managers was kind enough to ask, but it didn't come off.
I've never had Nando's. I've still never had it.
You've never had one?
No,
mate, it is. I can't knock it, mate. You know, that's been like, since I've been in uni, that was always my job. I was around training, and then I left, obviously, worked in a school, but I've never got bored of it in like the 5 years altogether I've worked there. It's fucking unbelievable stuff.
Some people don't see that though. Like, they don't see the reality of people on the way up, and it's been that way for years and years and years. And some people try to hide it and say, "Oh, you know, what is it like?" You know, even I suppose people saying, "Oh, you coming to the fights the weekend, or you going to different places and you have to work." It must be difficult that like for someone who is like I've called you one of the top prospects in the sport for a good few years, and I truly believe that. But like if you're a top prospect in rugby or soccer or whatever it might be, you'll be in an academy, you'll be taken care of. Yeah. If you're playing for Chelsea, you get fucking 15 grand a week or whatever, and you have to claw your way there. Like it must be very difficult.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the way I am in my headspace right now, and everything I've had to endure in the last couple of years, aside from kind guys like yourself calling me like the top prospect and that, I've had to fucking. I want to be clawing. That's the mindset I'm in. I want to be clawing. You know, at the end of the day, it's a sporting competition on Friday, but I don't know, mate. I don't think I would have had it any other way. You know, I'm sitting here with a fight on Friday. It's fucking tough. We're going to, like, 7 days a week I'm on the go, like training, and then I'm working all weekend right through to Sunday night, and then luckily I don't do Sundays anymore. My manager noticed it was fucking me up a bit, but I don't live at home. I got to pay my bills. It is tough. I'm lucky I got the sponsorships that I have, and the job that gives me, hours around the time I can train, and I get by like that. I get by all right, but it is tough. But I mean, I embrace the toughness. I don't care.
When you talk about, like, not just the tough times, but the reaction over the last year, was most of that after the Flaminas fight, or was it something outside of MMA or something that kind of has moved you, motivated you?
That's an interesting question, right? But the Flaminas fight in particular, the respect to that man, right? He just gave me. It was just. I look back on that. I didn't want that to happen, but I know I needed that to happen. I know I can't go in thinking I can tear their heads off in 10 seconds and they're going to fall when I connect every single time. That was just kind of the habit I got myself into, and I just hadn't been taught that lesson. The lightweight thing I had was just didn't really take anything from that because I was just so worn out. I couldn't really. I tried to take what I could from it, but that for me, that fight was a true lesson, a true, like, an older head saying, like, fucking, slow down, and he said that with his fists. I doubt we'll ever cross paths again, but he taught me a big lesson that night, and look where I am now. And look at my last fight. Look at the fight before that. Look at how I've grown from my setbacks. I don't shy away from them. I'll never not talk about them either. this current day and age that fight made me now, and then on Friday that's going to make me again, and I'll keep growing with the journey.
A lot of people do shy away from that though. Like even last week, Sean Brady fought Bilal Muhammad, and I remember saying afterwards, that's the best thing that could ever happen to Sean Brady. You know, he was 15-0, very, very good fighter, but he's the type of guy who I think needs loss to come back and be even better. And like I still think he could be a world champion. It's funny, you see people, and you can talk about this, but like, people have one loss and then they get written off. I remember even saying after your fight against Flaminis, I was like, he'll be back. You know, this guy's only 5 fights in. You look at, say, Jamal Hill lost to Paul Craig. I said the day after that, I still think that guy will be a light heavyweight champion. Like, you can just see the quality in some people. But like, you looked in on Twitter or you look at the reaction and it's like, oh, this guy is useless. He was never any good anyway. He's been shown up. Like, that must be really hard to take in one way because the reaction is negative, but also like, these people don't know what they're talking about. It's just a lot of bullshit. Yeah. Like every fighter, I remember making a list of fighters in their first 10 fights who had lost the fight. And it was like, you know, Jose Aldo, John Jones, Chris Cyborg, all the best ever have lost in their first 10 fights. That reaction must have just been so odd for you.
Look, of course it is. It's natural. You don't want to be reading these things you're reading or seeing these things you're seeing, but I'm just conditioned now. I'm glad it happened when it did. I clearly needed it. I could have just banged, you know, the shots that were just, I caught Flaminis with a couple of nice shots, but and if I would have connected clean, he'd have fell like the rest of them have, and I'd be awaiting that lesson still. You know, it's all lessons that just come in due time, and I don't know. I just understand it. I'm not afraid to get my ass kicked. I'm not afraid to get my ass kicked. And I'm definitely not afraid to stand up if I do and shake the other guy's hand and say, fair play, you beat me tonight, and move on. And I don't care about anyone else doing this sport. I don't compare myself to anyone else doing this sport, but that's how I'm going to go about things. I will walk into that fucking arena on Friday ready for a full-on fucking scrap, whatever happens. Same as I was with the last one, and I'm just taking, you know, it's like a blade that's just being forged in the fire kind of thing. And that's how I'm just going to keep getting better, growing. I'm maturing. I'm just all of it. I embrace it all. I embrace it all. Yeah, this is just, I don't know how I've got here mentally, but I have.
Before we talk about the fight this weekend, you mentioned the Matthew Bonner fight a minute ago, and like to be the guy who had been at the top of the mountain, you know, to be the guy who had reached, you know, where you want to get now.
Top of the mountain, and I chopped him down with the edge of my hand, brother.
that knife was, oh, here we go. That knife was, it was forged enough that day, but like coming out of that fight, just thinking about that, the mental side of that, maybe even more than the fight itself, that must have been huge for you to like, I'm sure you believed it, but to prove it, like on your record here in Sherdog, it says Oban Elliott defeats Matthew Elliott by unanimous decision. That must be a big thing to have that, like, right, I beat that guy. Let's go on to the next guy, and I'm going to get to the top.
Exactly. And it was moments like 10 days before where you find out what you're made of on the phone. I know what, boom. There was no, like, sometimes you get like a gut feeling like, oh, fuck. You that does happen. You're like, oh, fuck. Or you walk in and see someone, you know, if you walk in, to compare it to you, you might have gone through it. Say you're at a party and then you turn your head and someone you really, really can't stand is there and you're like, oh, fuck. You know, you get that feeling. When he's rung me on the phone, when Shaky rung me up and said, you got Matt Bonner, I said yes. And I put the phone away and I was like, right now, this is it. Like, I can compare it to a Brock Lesnar in a fucking Ultimate Fighter speech he did. And he was like, I see around and see chicken shit, choke, bottle job, freeze on the night, you know, chicken shits, or you could be a chicken salad. And I know that does really doesn't make any sense, but in my head I was thinking, I either choke and bottle this and fuck this up, or I just take it and do it and prove and take the chance. Let's show this boy, and not show the world. Let's show this guy why you don't fucking take a fight with me on that short notice, and let's teach him a lesson, and let's get this done, and believe in myself, and believe that I'm there for a reason, and that's kind of how I overcome that. And it was, look, people need to take note. This is how you look. Just like this guy I'm fighting next week, this Friday. He's got a similar belief in himself, I'm sure, and it's one of them. It's a weird one.
What do you think of the whole Skibinski situation? Obviously, he's like another. You know, I've previewed a few of his fights and gone back and watched his old fights. A really, really good fighter, and obviously you're supposed to fight him this weekend, and that fight didn't happen. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He got injured or something. Did he? What did you think of the Skibinski first of all, and then the fact that the fight's not happening?
Who?
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I want to say he's full of shit or whatever, but we had a bit of an issue. There was a bit of a mix up with the when we were getting the fight signed initially, and he said he could do a date, and then he couldn't do a date, and then he was like, "Yeah, we do want to do that date," and then you wait till 2 weeks before, and you try and fuck me up as well as your own reputation. You try and take my chance of not being on that card away from me. When I've signed to fight you, I was going to show up no matter what. So I don't know. Don't think anything of him. I think Sean McCormack is 20 times the fighter that man is.
And to talk about that fight, it's at middleweight, isn't it? So you've gone from lightweight to welterweight, and now up to middleweight on what, 2 weeks' notice? How difficult is that? Is that, you know, are you eating plenty of Nando's, eating? You're going out trick or treating and getting some chocolate.
It's a nice. It's interesting. Again, it's one of them things. We were looking for. It was looking bleak. We'd gone through a few people, and then I mentioned Shaky. I was like, look, let's broaden it. I said to Ian Dean personally. He come. I was fucking ringing him. I was like, look, and he wasn't answering. I was texting him. I was like, look, you've got to get it sorted. I'm going to stay on your case, and I'd rather do your head in rather than leave it and potentially not fight. Look, it's at middleweight. I guess people are going to have to see how I do, but I know how I'm going to do. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, look, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight. That's cool, but I'm not blowing my own trumpet for that, because I know shit can go horribly wrong. I know this guy could come in and teach me a lesson the same way I've been taught lessons before. So he's got my full attention. It's not just a fucking, this is huge for me just as much as it is huge for him.
Well, I know you have great respect for him, obviously taking the fight. What do you think of him as a fighter? I was watching a few of his fights last night, and you can't help but be impressed. He fought one of your teammates as well, didn't he, in the last fight, Owen Williams? So you probably know a bit about him, obviously, being in that fight. What do you think of him as a fighter?
Yeah, a great fighter, look. And you can watch tape and have a look and see, look, he's told everybody what he's made of in the last few days. Has he not? I think he has. What an admirable man I'm going to be getting in the cage with on Friday. That's the way I see it. So he's a great fighter. He's a tough fighter, and he's impressive. And I've got work in front of me.
100%.
And yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good fight. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how the weight class. He's a big guy for middleweight as well, big and tall. Very interesting to see how it works out. Obviously, you're more experienced.
Look, it's again all these. It's intriguing, and this wouldn't be possible if I had a similar attitude to the rest of the roster. It wouldn't be possible, would it? Because I'd have, I don't know what. I said yes. All they had was a middleweight, and he came calling the same way Matt Bonner came calling, and he's just gonna have to find out the same way the rest of them have. You know what I mean? So it's a massive fight for me. It's a massive fight for him. It's a big fight on the card because it's got a lot of questions around it. Unlike the ones that have been booked for weeks against guys that kind of just get by. I've been in the main event or co-main event scene the whole time I've been in Cage Warriors. I've been opening the main card. I've been a marquee fight every time I've been on since I was 21. So fighting in arenas co-main event show since I was 21. So you know, this is a big night. I can't wait.
What do you think of the fact this one? I think it is it the second or third fight in the card? I think. What do you think?
Is this one? I'm not too sure. They haven't released the card. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I have it here now. Give me 2 seconds. I'll pull it up.
Oh, you do have the card.
I have the card. Yeah, if I get it, I got some inside information. So it is. Let me just look here as it's pulling up. It is the third fight of the night. So Gittins and League are opening up. Then Shelley and Indai, and then yourself and Charles McCormack.
Cool. Is that the prelims?
Yeah, that's the prelims. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fine.
So it's a pretty good, like, it's the best card in years. I would say it's a very, very good card. So I suppose just, you know, to be on this card is very, very good. But yeah,
yeah, look, mate, I'm just grateful I've got the opportunity to fight. You know, it's an honor.
Last couple of things for me. I appreciate the time. Let's say when you're moving back down and obviously going to welterweight again, can you plot the move to the title? Because you can't be too far away now at this age, especially if you win. I know it's at middleweight, but you have 1-3 in a row. There's obviously interim title fight coming up. Then Reese is still there as well. Is Reese going to the UFC? What's happening there? What's your kind of plot to the title over the next while?
I honestly wish I could tell you I cared, because I'm just going one fight at a time, and these boys keep dropping out against me. So I feel like this is a title fight on Friday. This is a fucking. I'm going up to middleweight to defend what I'm working for. That's the way I see it. So fucking interim titles and all that bullshit. I mean, you just look at the body of work I've fought and I'm booked to fight, compared to some of the people who get title shots. Like, irrelevant. I don't care.
Fair enough. And
yeah, I'm like tunnel visioned on each guy that comes in front of me, and if they're not in front of me, then they can do what the fuck they want.
Fair enough.
That's literally how I feel.
Last thing. Which would you rather, right? Chael Sonnen makes a comeback, or Wales get to the quarterfinals of the World Cup? Would you, if you had to take one?
I'd have to say Chael Sonnen.
Really?
Juice to the gills. Absolutely stacked on the stuff. In like risen. Fighting at middleweight, just like bang, sticking there. I'd love to see Uncle Chael get back in there. Yeah,
there's talks of him and Tito. I think it's gone around again. So maybe
why don't they get Chael in the wrestling ring? I still don't understand why that's not happened. But yeah,
he did a bit of it before, but I think he was like announcing and stuff for a small place. But yeah, I think he'd be good. He can talk enough anyway. He'd be really good at it.
Yeah,
I don't know why anyone hasn't done it, but yeah,
no.
All right, that'll be fun. Oban, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck on Friday. You know, there's an Irish fella in there against you, so I'll have to I'll have to sit in the fence for this one again. I
respect that.
May the best man win. Best of luck on Friday night. Yeah. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, brother. Top man.